everything flows seamlessly.
And we want to help you embrace the change.
They need tools that are reliable and powerful enough to run their entire business. And that's exactly what we built.
I am thrilled to welcome to the stage these four incredible business leaders. We have Nick, founder of Bluestone Lane, 60 locations nationwide. Holly and Matt, founders of Epicurean Trader, which is an incredible retailer, grocery, cafe, and shop. And we have Jacob, who's the owner of the Roaming Goat Wine Bar, which is an amazing wine bar in San Francisco, as well as the general manager of Boulevard. So thank you so much for being here and joining us.
Thank you.
Tell us about your business journey and how you've evolved.
So I've always been in the restaurant industry, more kind of on the operational side, on the front of house, from childhood on, as is a common story in restaurants. And then during the pandemic, for no good reason, decided it was the perfect time to start my own business.
Reasonable.
Yeah, totally reasonable. So started a company. We had kind of a different concept initially, and then we found this brick and mortar in one of the local neighborhoods in the marina, and we've been growing and evolving, and Square's kind of been with us the whole time. We actually, one of our concepts we do at festivals as well, and so we started with the little square...
The white reader?
The white reader. And we still use that at these festivals that we're vendors for, and now we've evolved into these handhelds that are supernatural and feel really good to use. So Square's kind of grown with us as we've grown as a business, and every time we feel like maybe there's something we're missing, Square comes up with a solution. So
well, that's pretty cool. Thank you. All right, Holly and Matt.
Yeah, so Matt and I founded the Epicurean Trader 10 years ago, and we started using Square 8 years ago, I say, so 2 years in. We really only thought the business would be one location, and it was just built on a passion of supporting really, really small producers, their craftsmanship, and bringing them to San Francisco, you know, so other people could discover them. But we quickly learnt that the neighbourhood and the community of San Francisco really supported, you know, our ethos. And we opened our 5th location last year. So 5 markets and 3 cafes, and we're about to launch some wine bars, but Square has really grown with us through the process, and yeah.
It's exciting.
Good afternoon, everybody. I founded Bluestone in 2013, almost as an accident, basically. I moved to New York in 2010 to work in investment banking, and prior to that, I'd never worked a single day, let alone a single shift in a hospitality venue of any sort. Started Bluestone on the side as a bit of an experiment. I miss the Australian coffee culture, which was really built around having locals, not customers. It's the land of independence down in Australia. There's no, well, Starbucks failed in Australia. There's no Dunkin', there's no Tim Hortons, there's no Costa Coffee, none of the big chains. Yeah. The one thing that people forget, though, is that McCafe actually originated in Melbourne, but it's executed very differently, but I'll digress. But it's just continued to evolve. It started as a hole in the wall in a subterranean basement of a Class B building in Midtown Manhattan. It then evolved to opening a location in the middle of an office building next to the Stock Exchange. And then a year later, we opened our first cafe in West Village. About 12 stores, I actually finally left banking and went full-time. And since then, it's been a wild journey, but really grateful to be here today and to have partnered with Square only a few months ago, and happy to share about how incredible the rollout's been for our business.
That's exciting. What incredible journeys in different points of life and time. Okay, we're going to go reverse order. So, Nick, we'll start with you on this one, which is, it's got to be easy, right? Just kidding. What are your biggest operational challenges, and how does technology help you address them?
That's an answer in which I could elaborate for many hours, and it'd probably change after I have a couple of beers. But certainly right now, I think the biggest challenge we're facing in our business is we are a human connection company. We don't talk about being a coffee company or a coffee brand. We're very much about building communities and really being an antidote to this loneliness epidemic. Hospitality is built around making people feel good. So for us, our biggest challenge is recruiting, retaining and empowering our team to be successful in their role. I've seen so many of our team leave because technology hasn't worked for them, particularly since 2020 when COVID arrived, and just the level of technological integration increased exponentially. Continuity for us, efficiency, just enabling our team to be really successful, to be productive, to sell effectively, to, of course, be compensated and make sure that the locals' journey and experience is a really magical one. So having a tech platform that enables our team to be empowered and be successful is probably like the number one prerequisite to us being successful.
That makes good sense. Holly, Matt, I'll go to you for this too.
Yeah, I'd say to Nick's point, staff retainment, it's everything from scheduling, requesting a time card shift, to a customer coming in and wanting a recommendation on a bottle of wine, and they might not have the experience or knowledge, but they can quickly, on the Square point of sale, look up the information and the tools they need. Also, most of our businesses are neighbourhood driven. One of them, which is in the Ferry building, is very tourist driven. So the ability to have different product offerings and different price points really working for us well.
And do you feel like it helps you kind of create that connection over the device with the customers?
Absolutely, yeah.
Oh, it's exciting. Okay, Nick, I'm going to go back to you and then I'm coming down this direction. You've seen incredible growth. You mentioned this, from the 12 stores to the 60 stores. And you mentioned you just rolled out Square a few months ago. How's it going? How did you know it would work? How did you make the decision? You can tell more over beers later, but
Well, I knew it'd work because Square has got such scale and such a great reputation in the industry. I'd met a number of customers that had never looked at retendering their point of sale offering. I think for us, what has been so incredible is the fact that we switched 63 locations across 10 markets in about 4 to 6 weeks. And it's been seamless. And I think my number one request was to have continuity at all times. I've had countless occasions where I've walked into a cafe and the team are frustrated because they only have one handheld that works. They've only got one that connects properly to the router, so they're enabled to be on online mode all the time. In addition to that, I think it's just incredible to look at the integrations and the ability to enhance our loyalty program. Certainly our management of the team. We're looking now at ways in which we can use the entire Square tech stack to drive incredible efficiency, better insights, and then not only operational efficiency but cost efficiency as well. Most importantly, the team love it. The team have embraced the change and they've just been nothing but excited. So that was always the biggest risk, the disruption in the actual continuity of the business. But it's been so professionally rolled out, and full credit to the Square team on how much support they've provided. And it's really been seamless. And I'm not over-promising and under-deliver. It's been incredible.
That's awesome. I love the two things I'll underscore that you said. One, the team loves them. I feel like to your point, that matters. And then just the fact that the business analytics I often hear, which is you have so much data. How do we glean insight from that data quickly? So it's interesting to hear you say that. Yeah,
I think that's for us, we have a data warehouse and we're constantly data mining, and we're looking at ways in which we're about to move off a product by Google Looker and then just using the Square analytics. So it's pretty compelling.
That's really cool. Okay, Jacob, I hear you're using Square handhelds.
We are.
Okay, tell us about it. How's it going? What have you learned from your staff?
Sure. So the new handheld, we were lucky enough to get to kind of test out, and we've had 2 different versions of Square handhelds, and then somewhere else I work has a competitor company that I won't mention, also has a handheld, and this is by far kind of the most natural product that we've used in this realm. Great thing about Square is it's obviously catering to large businesses with multiple units, but for us, it's catering to this small wine bar that's driven by the neighborhood as well, in slightly different ways. For me, the most important thing is to have the technology disappear and not get in the way. right? So I used to work in the industry long ago where we'd hand write tickets and walk to the kitchen and give the ticket to the kitchen, and the food would get made that way, and then you'd go back up and add it all up and bring it to the guests at the end of the meal. And technology all along is kind of try to add these bells and whistles, and all I've ever really wanted is for it to just become easy, blend into the background, and not be about that. And the handheld is really kind of the best way I've seen it happen, and that just goes into the apron. It's not this clunky thing. You can do quick orders tableside, or you can walk away and do it and go about your business, but it really takes away the technology part so that my staff can talk about this crazy wine from Armenia and serve it to a client who's never heard of wine from Armenia. And it's a lot more about that for us, for the small fry, than about kind of the complexities of the system.
But I think everyone focus on the conversations that matter.
Yeah.
That's great. Nick, I believe you're about to roll it out. What are you most excited about?
As it relates to Square, sorry.
Square handheld.
Oh, it's great. Oh, listen, they're beautiful looking devices, right? I think that for us, like, we're just so excited that we had the previous iteration that's been great, and now with the new one that I saw actually in our Tribeca cafe last week. Again, the continuity, the speed, the tap and go, like, that was a huge thing when I rolled out Bluestone. Like, I could not believe, coming from Australia where the banking and tap and go is so ubiquitous, that, and we were talking about this off camera, that it's going to be so seamless, and it just enables, again, the transaction or the experience to be more efficient. If a local wants to leave quickly, they just want to pay and get up and go, we can enable it without having to go to a register or print tickets, or just the clunkiness or the lack of continuity makes a big difference.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to switch topics, which is we talk a lot about increasingly about businesses evolving into kind of, you start as a retailer and then you become a cafe. You start as a salon and you want to sell merchandise. Holly and Matt, I think you're a great example of this, right? You have retail shops, you have wine bars, you have coffee service, you do dine in, you go do dine out. How have you been using and how have you found kind of Square's ecosystems of solutions, and how have they kind of supported you in that evolution?
The Epicurean Trade has sort of evolved in almost lockstep with Square. We started as a retail concept, so we used a lot of the Square for Retail, capabilities, inventory management, purchase orders, transfers, the things that are probably boring to most people, but are just the nuts and bolts of retail. And then as we expanded into cafes and doing food service and other things, we sort of evolved into when you guys sort of launched the Square for Restaurants. So the KDS, which is the ability to sort of shoot orders out to the kitchen. The barista knows what they need to make. The kitchen knows what they need to make. We can sort of bust things out. We've sort of evolved, I think, in parallel with you guys. And when COVID happened and we sort of stepped more into the online world, we now ship product across internationally, but certainly across the country. We leveraged a lot of the e-commerce capabilities that you guys have. We've got three websites with you guys. One's sort of our Uber Eats offering, which is cafe, scan a QR code, we bring it out, we could do local delivery. We have more of an Instacart type offering where we can do more groceries that we ship locally. And then we have a nationwide offering where we ship sort of non-perishable items, gift baskets, general pantry items around a lot of
testing it from all the different angles.
We are, and I think as you guys roll out new features and even the stuff we heard today, I think my mind's already ringing. Like, how can we use this? How can we make it more efficient? How can we improve our business? So I feel like we're sort of growing at the same speed.
That's exciting. Well, Jacob, after being in the industry for a long time, you decided to start your own business during COVID. No big deal. What were you looking for in a partner?
So for us, cost was a factor. We didn't know how big we were going to get and how quickly, so we needed to be able to start with kind of the smallest footprint and not start the investment with these multiple contracts that you have to sign with a lot of companies. So initially it was that we had used it before, we knew that it was reliable, and we needed to do small fry, start and see how it would go. And then as we needed to grow and we need to build on it, we were able to then, get a printer. Then we were able to add an additional one and then get another terminal and so on. So it was nice to have this modular thing that you could kind of build out as the demand grew, because initially, one person selling items was sufficient. And so it was nice to have Square as kind of a partner that you're able to start with as a small business.
And then grow with you.
Yeah.
That's great. Okay, I'm going to open it up to anyone, so feel free to just jump in. After hearing today's announcements, what features or products are you most excited to bring back to your businesses?
There's been a really interesting dynamic over the last sort of 4 to 5 years. I think when COVID arrived and we were so restricted, Bluestone was primarily on the coast and we couldn't really operate the way we used to. We immediately raced to add a lot more technology, and we did it in a pretty decentralised way. So we had disparate different softwares providing functionality, from loyalty to order ahead to order management to changes in HRIS. There's just so many different softwares. So I think there was a massive amount of creep because there was such urgency to change the way you were operating given the environment. And it was an existential threat to Bluestone. That with it comes with an incredible amount of complexity and challenge. And operationally, there's certain knowledge that can constantly creep out of your business if all you need is one person to resign and then suddenly you don't know how it all integrates. I think what we are so excited by is this ability to have a universal solution, to basically be able to centralise, to remove some of these disparate softwares and bring it under one general solution, one house. That has been such a big driver. It's not only, as I mentioned earlier, just about the operational complexity, but it's also about continuing to add new functionality without having to bring on new experts, and the ability just to educate the team. And I think secondly, obsolescence in hardware in point of sale is real. Your devices, your handhelds, a lot of the legacy groups we've used, a handheld might last maybe 9 months, 12 months. The matter of fact is it's going to be dropped in a coffee. It's going to be dropped on the floor a lot. It's going to get caught up in a snowstorm outside. And, having the latest hardware that's constantly being updated, that's being refined, that's being more enabled and sets the team up for success is critical for us. So I think it's this combination. Yeah.
It's exciting.
Yeah, I would echo that. I think for us, just having one ecosystem that just brings everything together, the analytics, as you mentioned, it's becoming more and more critical, especially in the market, food industry, inflation, trends are real. You have to adapt. You have to be on point. You won't survive if you're not reading the trends. And then I think the AI element of what you guys presented, I haven't personally experienced it yet, but I think it's just the questions that you guys posed hypothetically to the model are questions that we get asked every day, like how many sandwiches are we selling? How many, things should we order? How much food should the commissary produce each day? They're real, and they create waste if you don't get it right. And so being able to ask those questions quickly is real. It really saves the bottom line. It speeds things up. So, we're excited to see the rollout.
Excited to see you try it.
Yeah, for sure.
Integrations for us, I think, are going to be exciting. We've recently integrated OpenTable, and that's going really well. So I'm excited to kind of continue to explore that. It really makes the interaction a little bit more seamless for the guests, but also helps us utilize tables better, and that we know when a guest is paid, we know how long it's going to be before they leave, we can clear the table, next reservation can book in. So those little things that had to be kind of done manually are getting more and more integrated. So now I'm excited to look at kind of the Uber Eats and DoorDash, because we have a couple of tablets. So I'd love to see how that can integrate and make things better.
That's great. Okay, last question to bring us home. What are the big things we should be looking out for from all of you in your businesses in the coming year or years?
Who wants to go first?
You go.
Well, for us, I think we started with the markets. As Matt said, we expanded into cafes. So we have robust morning and lunchtime program, but we really want to launch a really great cocktail and wine bar program, which we're in,
I
about
would be very
to launch.
excited about that.
Thank you. So I guess it's evolving into that and getting full liquor licenses at 3 of our locations and using the KDS and things that Square offer, on that front.
We're officially launching an evening service cocktail bar at the Ferry Building, starting probably in about 6 weeks.
Exciting.
In time for summer. So
Yeah.
we're excited. I think it'll be good.
So, we're going to be partnering with local chefs and restaurants and having pop-ups and really trying to drive a lot of afternoon, evening, traffic and energy. So we're excited.
Well, I feel like many in this room will be excited to swing by.
I will be. Work very nearby, so I'll be there all the time. I'm excited to be launching what we call the Wine Garden, which is kind of this beautiful back patio that we've been developing. And part of the missing piece was having a POS back there. And now with the handhelds, we're able to. So we were able to kind of develop that concept fully, and we'll soon be launching it on Fridays and Saturday nights. And if you're in the Marina or Cow Hollow area, it's beautiful and it's sunny almost all the time. So come on in and have some wine and some Mediterranean eats.
Well, I have a lot of takers here.
I think for us, it's been really pleasing to see that I would say the continued sort of acceleration in the value that community brands provide, and those are really focused on driving human connection. There was a lot of substitution for human connection with digital connectivity. And I think you're seeing the rise of these run clubs, and running's been around for centuries, but suddenly it's on trend, and the daytime DJ sessions at local cafes. And we're really excited to continue to invest in that. Our brand's been built always around human connection and locals. I had no background in hospitality. I had an unfulfilled need, and it was built to make people feel good. And I think for us, when we open our store in the Hamptons, which opens every summer, we've just got some absolutely phenomenal partnerships and activations built around fitness, wellness, having a good time, and of course, great coffee and great food. So I'm pretty excited. Yeah.
Well, a lot to look forward to. Join me in thanking the panelists. You're clapping yourself. Thank you. We are going to take a 20-minute break, grab a drink, grab some water, check out our seller marketplace, and then you all get to come back here and ask anything that you're interested in. So we'll see you soon.
So I'll warm us up with an easy one. Tell me a fun fact about your business that most people in this room will not know. Holly, I'm going to start with you.
Matt and I came from very different careers to start our business. We had very little capital going into it. It was an idea. And Matt went to Lowe's and bought many power tools, and we built our first store on our own. And I had a 3-week-old and a baby Bjorn hand painting the walls and the ceiling. We had, as I said, very little capital, and we just crossed our toes and fingers that would work, and it did. But
well, it worked until the health department came in, and then she was like, "What the hell is this?" And I'm like, "What do you mean? What do you mean you need coving and this and that?" And I was
Ask for forgiveness, man. That's the lot of an entrepreneur.
Exactly.
Yeah, I could see Holly with baby Jasper painting. I think it's
baby
cool.
Jasper, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we couldn't afford painters or, builders or anything. So Matt got pretty handy, and, so did I. We learned a lot.
I think that's a cool story. Nick, over to you.
Well,
Tell us your fun facts.
as I shared earlier, I'd actually went in year 12, or the final year of school, I got drafted to play Australian rules football professionally. So I did that for 6 years, went to university, and at the end of my 3rd club, so I was definitely a journeyman, I started an internship at an investment bank, and then from there was able to transfer to New York. So I'd never worked in hospitality. So I started Bluestone with purely focus on sort of customer centricity, the things that I missed. We built the business up to about 51 locations when COVID hit. And at that point in time, I had never, ever made a coffee. So, I was presumed, looked at as this coffee baron and, changing the way of the Australian coffee culture. So I had to learn how to make coffee in April because all of my locations were closed. So I got a mini La Marzocco at home, and then one of the coffee educators trained me on Zoom, despite us having this $1 million coffee training lab and roastery and everything. So, fake it till you make it and focus on what your comparative advantage is. And that's what I did. Yeah.
We should have like an espresso off.
You're going to win.
See who's worse.
I'm actually not bad right now.
I love that. Fake it till you make it. I love it.
I'm not that good either.
I love it. Jacob, over to you. Tell us the fun fact.
Well, this isn't the fun fact, but kind of similar to what they're talking about. I laid tile for the first time when I opened Roaming Goat. Oh, very nice. Yeah. I was like, I don't know how it's going to work, but I can YouTube it. And the whole front of the bar, still to this day, is hand-laid tile by me. Not that impressive, but it's still holding up, so we're good. Fun fact about Roaming Goat that people might not know is I've kind of talked about the timing of when we opened up. We thought everybody wanted comfort food, and at the time they did. And so we opened up with a mac and cheese and grilled cheese concept, and it was called, and still is called, Total Meltdown, because everybody was having a total meltdown at the time.
I think that's cool. And you still use that name, don't you?
We do. So we use it at festivals like Outside Lands and a few other music festivals because it turns out to be a great type of food to eat when you're at these festivals doing things.
We use that name quite frequently as well in my business, Total Meltdown.
Yeah,
it happens, Saturdays about 11 a.m. Yeah, in Los Altos particularly.
Yeah. I use it with my toddlers at home, total meltdown. Yeah. So yes,
we had an online contest that if you could send us a video of your kids having a total meltdown, you'd win grilled cheese for a year.
I will.
I will
send you.
So you can still submit. That's fine. Yeah.
He's 7 now, still has meltdowns, so it's fun. Okay, so I have warmed you up. I need to get your questions. Don't be shy. The experts are here. Ask them anything.
How have you all started to think about, obviously we just released Square AI. What are some of the tools in which you've started to leverage as the industry has very quickly started to change and bringing AI into your day-to-day in running your business?
I talked a bit about labour earlier, and for us, it is our largest component of our cost structure. It runs anywhere between 25 to 35%, depending on minimum wage levels and if you can have a tip credit or not. I actually think AI in schedule management, and particularly having inputs from weather and seasonality, holidays, I just think that is going to be so incredibly powerful. The one challenge that hospitality or retail can have is a lot of the state legislation is sort of counteracting the ability to flexibly staff and run your business because of predictive scheduling and spread of hours and things like that. But I think it's absolutely incredible what you're going to be able to do, because I know for us on a Saturday, nice weather was, for example, Mother's Day, we had our highest ever retail sales day because the weather was perfect on both coasts. But if one coast is raining or one coast is windy or cold, the sales volatility is probably about anywhere between 10 and 20%. So I think AI is going to be incredible for labour and schedule management. And for us, it's the largest component of our cost base.
I mean, I totally see the insights there. And I think that's, one of our biggest costs is labour as well. Cost of goods sold, being in retail, is our biggest cost. So I think there's definitely some insights there. So far, we've used it mostly for SEO and e-commerce related kind of activities. We're sort of trying to figure out what's selling, what's not selling. We use it for marketing campaigns, what's coming up, what's trending on Google, how do we sort of tap into that? So we're sort of more focusing at this point on e-com, but I totally see the benefits to, operational retail elements of the business for sure.
Jacob, anything to add?
We have started using it for kind of some of the day-to-day tasks that we just don't have the capital for staff. So things like answering the phone, getting some of those questions out of the way that are kind of minutia, and guests can find it online if they spend enough time. But this is kind of a bridge between providing a human to offer that service, or not being able to offer it at all because of the capital involved. So it's a nice middle ground to say, obviously we're not giving you a human, but we're giving you easier and better answers than you would have gotten from us, because we can't have a host on staff 24 hours a day answering the phone. So it's kind of those things where we don't want to take away from the guest experience, where that's important to people. Things like the personal interaction and asking our servers for their experience with a certain product. So that we're not willing to put into AI's realm just yet. But the things that maybe don't require that skill set, we're happy to utilize. So I'm excited to see what, because I think we all found out about the AI thing here with you. So I'm excited to see what it could mean and how it could be utilized.
I think we're really excited too, right? We're just scratching the surface of what this could be and building it. So we're excited to hear the use cases you're using it for as we continue to evolve and build with you too. So that's great. So thank you for that question. Any other questions from the audience?
So in your industry, having a great product is huge for driving traffic, but I feel as you grow, there's probably more of a need to retain existing customers, find new customers wherever they are. So as leaders in the industry, how are you thinking about retaining existing customers and driving new traffic to your locations, and what tools and channels are you using to do that?
Social media is this huge thing that almost nobody really understands. So we could say we're using that somewhat successfully, somewhat not. But the underlying part of social media for us, for one location in the middle of San Francisco, is that people kind of want to know what we're doing because they already like us, and they want to tell their friends about what we're doing because they already like us. So anything that we can do to get the news out, email marketing type things, sending text messages, the loyalty programs, we're still kind of distilling what makes most sense because we don't want it to feel artificial. But the underlying message for us has been people like what we're doing, and they want to know if we're doing something interesting so they can have a reason to come back more often. And then they want to be able to tell a friend like, oh yeah, that's my spot, that's my neighborhood restaurant, and they're doing this thing, come join me. So building that very micro community by being able to tell people what's going on.
I've got a bit of an outsider perspective because I didn't grow up in the industry, but I certainly believe that there's very limited intellectual property in hospitality. I think anyone can learn how to make a great coffee, great cocktail, great pasta, cook a great steak. Everything comes down to the execution, and the real IP is the culture of the organisation, the buy-in to the values, and then how you make people feel. For us, we focus on ensuring that we have locals, not customers, and you're really driving that organic community. As it relates to retaining, for coffee, retention is the most important thing, because a new customer acquisition, their average spend might be $5, $10 or $15. You can't spend a lot of time and effort on acquiring one and having churn. It's all about retention. And I think most importantly for us, it's treating them like a local. And the example of that is knowing your name or your face or your order. In Australia, premium coffee or independent coffee shops are a plethora. They're lined up side by side by side. And the fact my company's called Bluestone Lane is a homage to the cobblestone laneways in the central business district of Melbourne. I used to walk out of my office tower as a group, and there'd be 5 amazing cafes, 5 of site class, blue bottle, 4-barrel, Bluestone quality. And the way that they differentiated was really just through their local connection. They knew their local's name, and that recognition is so incredibly powerful. And I think right now in society, people are feeling more disconnected and lonely and lacking that friendship because so much of it's been disintermediated. So if you can double down on that, I really think that that is the most powerful retention tool. And how it plays with technology is if tech enables my team to spend more time engaging and still have a really convenient, frictionless experience, I think you're just going to enhance your proposition. So I've never been a big believer in being product-led. I think the opportunity for Bluestone was because there was too many brands focused on product. And, I think it's just a matter of time because there's continued awareness and awakening that brands that focus on making people feel good and part of something bigger are going to win. But there's going to be some recalibration there, and there's always going to be a need for convenience. But hopefully the pendulum swings a bit more the other way.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, 100%. I don't want to add to it. We're cut from the same cloth. I think it's 100% about focusing on the customer. I think it's, we have 5, not 50 or 60 cafes, but they all happen to be in San Francisco. And it's about focusing on what that neighborhood, that customer wants. We tailor the experience to that customer. So exactly what Nick just said. I think he's spot on.
I think so too. And I'm wearing my brand hat, all the things you're all saying, like the customer, the brand connection, neighborhood, local, like that is the DNA of what we do at Square, where we're trying to go even more deeply. So we're simpatico. That's awesome. Okay, more questions.
Hi. Matt mentioned Google SEO. I'm coming here today from Google, and we just did a campaign with Square about how we work to get sellers discovered on Google. And so I wanted to ask all of you, what does discovery mean to you on Google, and how do you think Square is helping you do that? How do you think Square could do better at helping you do that?
I'll let you answer that one because you've been more involved in the online part of.
For us, I think we sort of have 2 segments to the business. We have our retail experience, which is where we're deeply enrooted with Square, and I think that's where most of our relationship with Square is. Online, for us, we're figuring it out. I think we've pivoted, like a lot of businesses, to trying to see what the broader world is, and we can ship products to anybody. I mean, we shipped something to South Africa just the other day. We ship stuff to Europe, certainly across the country. So for us, SEO is something that AI is driving for us. It's something that we see as a big future. We launched an online site with Square. We have 3 sites with them. One is sort of our Uber Eats offering, which is very much cafe-driven, QR code. We bring it to your table. We could do local delivery. You could order ahead, skip the line kind of thing. Then we have sort of our Instacarts offering, which is more of a grocery offering. Again, you could come in and collect it, but mostly it's just local delivery. But we don't ship that stuff outside of San Francisco. And then we have our third site, which is sort of probably more where the SEO comes in, is how do you get somebody who doesn't know the Epicurean trader to discover us, and how do we get them to trust us, and how do we get them to trust that we're going to ship it? I'd say of all of the Square products, that's the one that's probably the newest to us, and it's the one that we're sort of working out together. But we see that as a huge opportunity, and for a business like us, it is a big part of the future. And so that's sort of where, we're at with that.
There's 3 ways that we drive trial at Bluestone. The most valuable at the moment is still advocacy, unsolicited advocacy. A friend takes you to the cafe or takes you to a restaurant. Most of the best restaurants that I've ever been to, it's because someone told me, not because they pushed a message, very much the pull strategy. The second most powerful way is actually Google Maps and Google reviews. It used to be dominated by Yelp, but I think, again, the momentum is very much through Google. And for us, we benchmark all of our cafes that they have to be the best in the local area. And what that means is they have to be ranked in the top 3 within a 1 square mile radius. We compensate, we bonus our team based on that. The third way to drive trial is obviously through social media, particularly Instagram and TikTok. TikTok, if you're focused on matcha, you want to be on TikTok. If you're focused on sort of young mums, you can still stay on Instagram. So for us, that's our core customer, and that's what we spend our time on. I do think the fourth is really exciting with Square. I might rephrase it with Block, because I do think Cash App could be pretty incredible. Nick always reminds me about how powerful Cash App is, in that 1/3 of the US population are engaging with it annually. I think that is a marketplace, a traffic driver, a channel to promote and refer business and advertise could be absolutely compelling. And there's obviously mutual benefit between being in one ecosystem and how that plays out regarding the cost to advertise and promote and ad spend. So that's pretty exciting.
That's great. Like Square, Cash App, Block, like all the things we talk about. This is great. Okay, any other questions?
Hi, I'm curious if any of you have engaged in an actual formal loyalty program. Loyalty is the most important thing, but making the jump to the actual loyalty program, whether that feels genuine or not. Thoughts about this?
Yeah, I'm happy to start. We've actually done 2 loyalty programs. One is kind of more your classic cafe loyalty program where you can sign up for free, you type in your phone number. We have the ability to market to you. In return, you get a free coffee every, $100 you spend or whatever. And then we launched a separate program more on the market side, which is a paid loyalty program where you pay $20 a month or $200 a month, $200 a year rather, where you get additional bonuses like discounts off everyday purchases. You get, other perks, access to discounts at local restaurants. You get access to discounted rates at gyms, like a lifestyle type program. And both have worked. Obviously the free one is, everybody signs up because why wouldn't you? If you're going to be a regular, it makes sense. But we've found it's actually quite inspiring how many people want to support the Epicurean Trader and purchase a paid, membership program, effectively a loyalty program. And we found that it's been beneficial because, our customers who support us get 15% off. They are getting prices that are well below, our competitors such as Whole Foods. So they're rewarded, and then in return, they're rewarding us by actually committing to us and spending money with us on a weekly basis. So we've done both programs, and both have worked for us. I'm a big supporter of it. I think people like it. They feel rewarded. They feel special. I'm sure you guys have probably got similar programs that hopefully have been successful.
Jacob or Nick, any loyalty programs you've tried or experimented with in the past?
Coming from independent-owned restaurants that are more full service, I haven't yet found a loyalty program that works in the right way, meaning that it incentivizes people to come back. So I am looking forward to, we kind of dabbled with the Square option at some point, looking forward to digging in a bit deeper for it. But it often takes so many people being involved in tracking, in implementing, and knowing when that guest is back and so on and so forth. Because in full service restaurants, the interaction happens at the end, right? When they go to pay, it's at the very end, as opposed to knowing who's walking in your door. So Open Table at some point had a program that worked okay for restaurants, but I, from kind of just full service restaurant side, have not found anything that I'd be willing to put my stamp on. But I'm happy to explore the Square version.
Okay, that's great. And you'll see all these questions. It's all about the customer, right? We started from a retention question, then acquisition, and then loyalty. So I love all these questions coming from the audience. Okay, we have time for one more question, if there's any other on the floor.
Hi. In this day and age, we've talked a lot about like the digital customer versus the in-house customer. And in the vein of loyalty, I'm curious if there are other ways you think about extending hospitality to your digital customers. And how do you think about bridging the walls between the digital space and the in-house space as business owners?
I'll start, because it's kind of brief. Our digital customers just take out orders from time to time, and because often they're within like a 1.5 mile radius of us, we'll randomly send something and write on the item like, we don't think you've tried this dish yet. Here's a complimentary dish from us. Just very elementary things that keep it, again, not feeling corporate, but making it like someone actually hand wrote this and the staff decided to send you an appetizer just because they wanted to.
That's cool. Any other builds?
I think it's omni-channel, as in the digital versus in-store, both as valuable. People who subscribe to coffee being delivered at home are generally the same local that comes into the cafe every day. I think there's a huge opportunity to leverage partnerships and unique experiences to drive more personalisation in loyalty. I think there's too many loyalty programs or too many offerings that are generic. The spend 100, get 5, and that was the old model, and we were with Level Up that really drove that discount model. I think now it's going to be so exciting in this new personalisation frontier with AI about having unique gamification and rewards. So for me, I'm always talking to my team about, okay, how do we get that cohort to visit 2 other Bluestones over the next month? What can we do to incentivise them? Because then I think they'll even get more bought into the brand and more loyal if they know that there's an amazing cafe on the Upper East Side and there's an amazing one in the Avery and an amazing one in Nashville. So I do think that there's this whole angle about gamifying, and everyone will have their own eventually individual loyalty program. I don't think it's just going to be off the shelf tiers. I think that that's a way to drive this omni, that the digital and the in-person is just as valuable, and you want to be relevant and you want to be connecting with them wherever they might be. That's, my 2 cents.
That's great. Yeah. Matt, Holly, anything to add to that?
I'll be brief, but similar to what Nick said, I think if somebody purchases online, we have AI that would say, look, the address is in San Francisco. We automatically print out a postcard that says, here's a discount, come in, enjoy the in-store experience. And likewise, if somebody comes into a physical store and purchases an item, we're always trying to incentivize them to say, look, there's only so many products we can fit in a 2,000 square foot store, but online we have this universe that's larger. And so if you're really into gin or cheese or whatever, it may not be in this store, but we can ship it to you. We have access to this bigger offering. So we sort of do it both ways to try and get the online customer to shop in store. We get the in-store customer to try and shop online. We started this provisions box, which is like a mystery box of sorts where we ship it out once a month. And someone who's a foodie, they get something delivered, and it's just a random bunch of stuff that if you're into cooking, it's a cool experience, and you get to discover these new items that we've vetted. So we're sort of, we're working through it. I think everybody's pivoting, trying to connect the dots. But I think we're all on the same journey of how do you just bring these 2 worlds together and just showcase your brand as best you can, online and offline.
Brilliant. Well said. And we're at time because we're having so much fun. But please give it up for the incredibly panelists and for yourselves too for being engaged and asking questions.